Hello, everybody. Welcome to Community Conversations. I'm glad to see such a big turnout today. Always makes me happy. Today we have a very exciting, very participatory presentation from Betsy Richard and the Act One Drama Club. Before we get into that, though, I do have a couple of announcements. February 25th, next week, we have virtual telephone, Truth and Rumors at Our Fingertips, and that is going to be hosted by Ian King and Lindsay Keevy from the LCC Learning Commons and Library. And our spring series is going to be Race in America and Beyond, and that will be starting on April 15th. So we don't have all of the dates and speakers lined up yet. I'm still working on that, but please go to our website, lowercolumbia.edu/conversations, and that will be updated with more information as we get it. So today I want to welcome Betsy Richard. Betsy Richard teaches drama and directs 3 theater productions a year at LCC. She completed her undergraduate work at City University of New York. Yes, okay. Her acting training at the National Shakespeare Conservatory and holds a master's degree in applied theater and directing from Eastern Michigan University. In 2017, Betsy completed Theater for the Oppressed facilitator training with David Diamond. Prior to LCC, Betsy taught and directed at Central Michigan University and worked locally with Artists Repertory Theater, Oregon Children's Theater, yay, I love them, and the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. Favorite directing projects that utilized applied theater techniques include Race, How Blacks and Whites Think and Feel About the American Obsession, which toured Metro Detroit schools, and The Wrestling Season at Lower Columbia College. Please welcome Betsy Richard and friends.
Thanks so much, Courtney. I really appreciate it. We are very, very appreciative of being here today and having the chance to present to you today. So the first thing I want to do is have the Act One Drama Club members that are here to work with this workshop today introduce themselves, and I'm going to let the students do that themselves. So take it away.
Hi, my name is Andrew Gomes. I've been with Act One Drama Club for a little over a year now. I have a play that I wrote coming out this quarter called Blue Collar Anonymous. So look out for that early to mid-March. It should be releasing then.
Hi, I'm Ariana Murvey, and I've been with Act One Drama Club for a couple of years now, and I'm an actor in Andrew's play Blue Collar Anonymous.
Hello, everyone. My name is Francisco Santana. I have been with Center Stage for about 2 years now while studying at LCC. Thank you for being here, and please keep a lookout for our upcoming productions of Blue Collar Anonymous and Club Greg.
Hi, I'm Joy. I have been with Act One Drama Club for around 3 quarters now. I will be performing in Blue Collar Anonymous this coming March. Thank you for attending.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Carrig. I've been with the Act One Drama Club for 3 quarters now, and this quarter I will be in Club Greg and Blue Collar Anonymous.
I'm Robbie Duplessis Jr. I've been doing theater since 2016, but only recently joined Act One last term. Then I will also be performing in Blue Collar Anonymous as well as Greg's Fight Club.
Hello, my name is Rowan. This is my first quarter with Act One. I will be performing in Greg's Fight Club and Blue Collar Anonymous.
Thanks, everybody, for introducing yourselves. I also want to acknowledge 3 members of our club this quarter that could not be here today, but that certainly rehearsed with us, helped us develop what we're going to be showing you today. And that's Alina Morgoskaya, Nina Shaw, and Casey Halleck. And Casey is the student who's written Club Greg. So we have 2 student pieces that you've been hearing about so far today. So today we're going to be looking at how theater is used as a tool for social change. And we're going to begin our presentation with a brief overview that will hopefully give you some context for what you're going to see later and some historical background on theater and the idea of social change. Later, we're going to be focusing primarily on the work of Augusto Boal, a Brazilian theater activist and director. And his work has been a powerful tool worldwide in helping people to understand and resolve personal and communal oppressions through theatrical play and performance with the purpose of creating empathy, understanding, and true societal change. So with that, what I'm going to ask the actors to do right now is to go ahead and take your cameras out and your mics off. We're going to look at a brief PowerPoint, and then we're going to come back and demonstrate some exercises for you. So as I just said, the topic is Theater for Social Justice, using applied theater as a tool for social change. And before we get started, there's a couple definitions that we really need to make sure we all understand as we embark on this workshop. So the first one that I want to talk about is, what is social justice? So for the purposes of our presentation today, we're looking at 4 interrelated principles of equity, access, participation, and rights. So justice or fairness as it manifests in society in terms of things like healthcare, employment, housing, and a whole lot more. That list, I'm sure, could go on and on. The next definition we want to look at is, because some of you may not be familiar with what applied theater is. So what is applied theater? Applied theater is an umbrella term that encompasses all forms of drama or theater that exist to facilitate change. So it's a umbrella term, and you will hear a lot of other terms that come under that umbrella. There are a lot of different kinds of applied theater. It challenges assumptions that we might have about privilege, culture, gender, race, and class. And when one agrees to participate in an applied theater format, we agree, first of all, that we're going to take theory into action, because there's a lot of theory surrounding applied theater. When we act upon that theory and we do things, we are also, part of the tenet of applied theater is to reflect on the process of doing it, and then on the products that are created. So reflection, constant reflection, going back and forth between the action and the reflection is very important. And then how does this impact people and communities? The goals of applied theater are to raise awareness within our communities regarding personal, social, and political realities. This sounds really big, and it is, but it also can be looking at things on a very micro level, very small. At the right, I sort of have a circle because we're constantly moving between theory and action and reflection to create this circle of what we do when we do applied theater. I forgot to mention before we started, now that I'm talking, if you have questions, you can put questions in the Q&A, which should be on your toolbar. Sometimes it's at the bottom of your screen. You might have it elsewhere. You could also comment in chat or ask a question in chat if that's easier for you to find. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about a little bit is, how has theater historically encouraged social justice, and has it? So I'd say we go back in the Western canon of theater and plays to the Greeks, and we always go back to the Greeks because we have a lot of information about the Greeks. We have a ton of plays, we have artifacts and things that tell us what theater was like and how people practiced theater. And when we look at those things, we see that the ancient Greeks focused on issues of justice, ethics, and morality in their plays. These things were very, very important to them, despite some cultural practices that may not seem to focus on justice, ethics, and morality. The ancient Greek plays like Antigone, Lysistrata, the Bacchae, I would venture to say most of the Greek dramas focus on one or more of these issues. The pictures here are from LCC's production of Antigone. So the Greeks so much focused on these things that Aristotle was able to identify for us that the power of drama is to promote empathy in audiences. And this is an idea that continues to be a motivating drive of the theater to this day. In the picture at the right from Antigone, Antigone is pitted against a tyrannical government. So the rights of the individual and the family in that play are explored versus the rights of the collective. Who has the greater rights, and how can they coexist, I guess? Can they coexist? In the medieval times, there were what were called medieval mystery plays, one in particular called Everyman, where every man, the character, is striving to maintain a moral existence in the face of temptations of the world. Shakespeare's Kate in Taming of the Shrew is struggling against the tyranny of her husband, Petruchio. And we see examples moving on and on through time in the when we get to realism. We have plays that Ibsen wrote on the right here from LCC's production of A Doll's House. We see the character of Nora, who ends up choosing self-actualization before the care of her own children and her husband, which in the 1870s was not a very popular idea. It's still a very controversial idea, I think. But Ibsen certainly explored that and other issues in his plays. And then on the left, we have lots and lots and lots of contemporary plays that continue to explore these kinds of issues. In this play, The Wrestling Season by Laurie Brooks, it deals with bullying around the concept of a wrestling match. So it really physically shows dominance and submission, as you can see in this picture. So plays provoke in the audience an empathetic response to characters suffering from various forms of injustice. So the interesting things is, even though all plays share a common thread of human suffering, audiences may leave having a cathartic response, and they become more socially conscious as a result of these productions. But typically, historically, typical theater goers were rarely motivated to political or social engagement once they left the theater. They felt all this empathy, but they didn't necessarily want to go out and do something about those things. So this is where theater for social justice starts to become more pointed, I guess. All right. So we see the term social justice emerging in about the 19th century as there was tumultuous change worldwide, especially in the Western world. And we had a lot of individuals pitted against tyrannical governments. There were changes happening. And it's a concept that's deeply embedded in Marxist and socialist ideologies. In the 20th and the 21st century, social justice theater, these are more forces that have sort of carved out what we would recognize today as social justice theater. It's indebted to the work of the German playwright, director, theorist Bertolt Brecht and his Marxist-inspired plays, which sort of ushered modern theater into a new way of new subject matter, new ways of exploring that subject matter. The 21st century social justice theater rejects the form and content of traditional commercial plays and theater. It says actually that commercial theater is one of the problems, that it doesn't ask you to engage beyond this cathartic emotional experience. It rejects the physical structure of traditional theaters with a strict division between the actor and the audience. We want the actor and the audience, the lines to be less well drawn. It encourages experimentation. And it goes by many names, as I mentioned before. Applied theater is a term often used to encompass them all. So you might hear theater of the oppressed, the workers' theater, social activist theater, protest theater, alternative theater, ethnodrama, and educational theater. These are all forms of social justice theater. And now I want to turn you to contemplate the work of, we're going to move more now to, so we have this general background of more specifically the work of the 21st century and getting to Boal, whose exercises we're going to look at today. And he was Brazilian. So there was a Brazilian educator and philosopher by the name of Paulo Freire who wrote The Pedagogy of the Oppressed. And it's a book that was very well known once it was translated from the Portuguese into English and known in education circles. Freire did not believe in sort of a top-down, filling the vessel example of how education should be, that students should take charge of their education and they had things that they could say. So this term oppression that we're going to be using quite a lot throughout our presentation, we can think of it, of course, as Boal did with oppression of systems of government, of societies that oppress large groups of people. But there's also, and it's certainly not simple, but the idea of a person or group of people who have power that somehow use it in a way to that's not fair, or it's unjust, it's cruel. So Freire says that people who are oppressed, who are suffering from somebody dominating them, must be their own example in their struggle for lack of domination, for equality. You can't do it for people. People have to do it for themselves. And they must be willing to, the oppressors, the people that are keeping others down, have to be willing to rethink their way of life, how they're examining their own role. And if true liberation is going to occur, people have to examine how they're behaving. So these were things that were very important to Augusto Boal. He grew up in Rio de Janeiro. He was born in 1931, and he was born under the dictatorship of a man named Vargas. And even though this political system that he was, that was governing Brazil at the time was, I think today we're pretty much say, yes, that was a dictatorship. It was quote unquote a friendly dictatorship. And they had a lot of relationships with other countries worldwide, the United States being one of them. Despite all of this, Boal had a good, happy childhood. He studied chemical engineering, wanted to be a chemical engineer, but he also loved the theater. And so when he came to the United States to study at Columbia University, he studied both. And as many of you know, once you've studied theater, you kind of want to stick with it. So he decided to become a theater practitioner instead. He was influenced heavily by Bertolt Brecht and Stanislavski, the Russian practitioner who kind of defined what we know as acting today, and also of his countryman, Paulo Freire, with whom he was friends. He came back from the United States, went to Sao Paulo, where he worked at the Arena Theater for about 16 years. And he worked very hard to raise awareness and concern for the extreme inequality that was part of Brazilian society at the time. There was a very small elite ruling class and a very large working class. And in 1964, there was a coup, and a more extreme dictatorship took over from the Vargas regime. And things went along okay for a few years, but in about the early 70s, that regime started to crack down on artists in particular. And in 1971, Boal was kidnapped off the street. He was arrested, tortured, and went into exile in Argentina. And in exile, he continued to develop his ideas, and he traveled around the globe while he was developing these ideas, working with lots of different kinds of communities. And he returned to Brazil in the 80s, and actually in the 1990s served in the city government in Rio de Janeiro, using his theatrical background as a tool as he worked with the government. So Boal's ideas and methods, I'm just trying to highlight a few of them. Some of these you're going to see demonstrated today. So one of the biggest things that Boal wanted to do was to break down this wall between the audience and actors in order to empower audience members to become actors and take their empathy and do something with it. So he coined the term spect-actors, meaning that a spectator becomes an actor in the presentation. So in much of his work and his forum theater work, which I talk about, I have bullet pointed there a little later, the spectator is presented with a scene and then asked to, if they have a solution, to come on stage and present, to join the actors on stage. So Boal felt that knowing the body, both your individual body and the collective body of which you are a part, your community, were essential. He was very keen on making our bodies expressive, which you will see demonstrated today in some of the exercises. He wanted to use theater as a language and also as a discourse so that we could have a conversation using theater, and it wasn't just a one way giving an audience something to hear. He coined the term the Joker, and the Joker is like a playing card, the Joker. The Joker can move in and out of a scene. The Joker it's a facilitator really, but a little bit different than that. I'll be acting today somewhat as the Joker. Form theater, I already talked about. Image theater gives expression to different forms of oppression through the use of images. And that's the work today we're going to really focus on. Invisible theater was a tool that Boal used where actors would go on the street and perform plays, but nobody knew they were plays. So people would be walking down the street and something would happen and it would be part of, and in Boal's mind, an education of people to take note of something that was going on, an issue that was happening maybe in a town. And then newspaper theater, which he did in his early career, taking headlines from the newspaper to illiterate communities where people couldn't read the newspaper, and the actors would act out the headlines and the articles to help educate people. So that's a pretty massive overview of a man's life work. And I've chosen this quote because to me it distills the whole idea of theater of the oppressed into a concrete idea. Boal said, "It is not the place of theater to show the correct path, but only to offer the means by which all possible paths may be examined. There's no one right way to do anything. There are many, many possible ways." And that is an extremely important legacy from my viewpoint from Boal. So just a little, you'll see contemporary social justice theater again in many forms. It arises when political activists turn to theater as a means of dissent. It's booming across the world. I wish I could say it was not, because maybe that would say that we have evolved worldwide, but there's a need for it. And his work in influencing, Boal's work in influencing contemporary forms cannot be overstated. He is probably the single most important person in this movement. And he encouraged understanding and resolution of personal and communal oppressions through theatrical play and performance, which again, you're going to see some theatrical play today. So we are going to focus today on image theater, and the students are going to start coming back in because our first thing we're going to present to you is some introductory games, So go ahead, everybody, and come back on with your videos. And we're going to do for you right now a few games that are very, very much Boal. They're classic games that everybody would know who's ever worked with theater of the oppressed. And the first two games you can certainly do at home, wherever you are. They don't need a lot of space, and we welcome you to join us. So the first one is called the Cross and the Circle. It's a very difficult game, very hard to do. So just a warning, we've been practicing it and we're still novices. So first thing I'd like you to demonstrate is describing a circle with your right hand, everyone. So you're making a circle with your right hand. Great. And you can stop. And now with your left hand, make a cross. And you can make that cross any way you want. You don't have to do it the way I'm doing it. Just you're making a cross. And now add the circle back in and see if you can do the two at the same time. It's really hard when you're looking at all these people doing this. Oh my gosh. Great. Okay. How'd everybody do? Are you getting any better, actors? Anybody get it this time? Okay, great. Why is it so hard?
So close.
So close. Why do you think it's so hard to do that? Why is it hard?
It tricks you. Your hands start following each other, It's very rigid. And even when you are consciously trying to make it a certain way, it doesn't follow that necessarily, especially when you're first doing it.
That's great. Our body wants to follow our mind, and our mind has a hard time getting out of that box. So that's a great example. Terrific. The next one we're going to do is a variation on this. Again, you can do this. It's easier if you're seated. So for those of you that are at home in a chair, you got a little bit of an advantage here. So with your right foot on the ground, make a circle. Describe a circle. I'm doing it right now. You can kind of see because my body's moving. And now with your right hand, write your name, your first name in the air. And see what happens. Okay. And for those of you at home trying this, if you want to put something in chat about how your body's behaving, please feel free to do so. Anybody, did you do it? How was it? Lindsay?
At one point, my foot stopped going in a circle and I didn't realize. So I was just writing my name.
Okay.
I was making some sort of weird oval shape while also creating a new written dialect. I was reinventing hieroglyphics for the modern age. Thank you all very much. I do appreciate my own contribution to society through that.
Okay.
I was
great.
trying to tilt my foot to the side to see if maybe I could do that. And no, it's still following my hand.
So your foot wanted to go with your hand.
Yeah.
Okay, great, great. Okay, so the next game we're going to demonstrate, 4 students are going to demonstrate this. It's a classic Boal game called Colombian Hypnosis. It's Andrew and Robbie and Joy and Lindsay. If everybody else can take their cameras off, thank you very much. I'm going to explain the game and then I'll leave. So we're going to start with Andrew and Joy as the leaders, quote unquote, the movers. And they're going to put their hands up to the screen. And Lindsay and Robbie are going to do their best to put their face right in front of the hand. So if we were doing this face to face, this is what it would look like. And wherever the hand goes, the head is going to go. Some of this we can't do quite the same way in a virtual environment, but our students have gotten pretty good at that. So go ahead and begin. I'll get out of here as soon as I can. Great. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, freeze. And let's switch. Let's give your partners a chance to be the one leading. So Lindsay and Robbie, hands up so that Andrew and Joy can orient themselves. And go ahead. Great, you're doing a wonderful job of exploring the entire box, the depth of it, as well as the perimeters. Oh, nice, that's interesting, that's great. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And freeze. Great, excellent, really nice. So what do you find when you're doing that? Boal had this idea that this is a form of oppression, right? To be leading someone. What do you find when someone's leading you? How does that feel?
Well, it's definitely a power balance, you know, and when you're leading, the person is following and is forced to move however your hand's moving, and it's the opposite the other way around. When they're leading, you have to follow. Right. It's just a difference of power, and it affects the different, I would say, like, it's just, it's easier when you have the power and you're just leading them.
How do you all feel, the four of you? Do you prefer being the leader or do you prefer being the follower? Who likes leading? Okay. Robbie, why do you like following better?
I'm not 100% sure why. I don't know. It just finds it, to me, it feels more inclusive. So it's like I get to do more stuff.
Okay. Okay, great. Any other thoughts on that?
I'm neutral in between. In one sense, waving my hand is fun. In another sense, I get a good neck stretch, and it cracks when I get led. So,
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I would say at least at the beginning, I didn't like following as much, but now I really like them close to equal. I think I just like leading more now because it's just you can do whatever you want and sort of like throw curved balls in there and just see what happens.
Okay, great. Thank you. So the next thing we're going to do is last warm up. I'm going to ask the actors that are on screen to go ahead and turn their screens off for right now. We're going to do rhythm with chairs. So the way this works is we've preordained 5 actors that are going to do this: Lindsay, Joy, Robbie, Francisco, and Andrew. And while I'm talking, they're actually figuring out a freeze that they're going to share with you that's somehow in relation to their chair. You can certainly, again, do this at home if you have room, and you'll see what's going to happen next. They're going to come on line with their microphones on and their freezes in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Great, excellent, excellent. So we have 5 different freezes here. For everyone that wants to participate in this game, the attendees, you won't have to be on screen, but you can certainly do this. The actors that are off screen right now, remember, you're going to come on in a minute. So let's practice each of these positions, first of all, so we know what they are. Take Joy's position, everyone. Take Joy's position. Great. And now we're going to take Andrew's position. We're going to take Francisco's position. We're going to take Robbie's position. And we're going to take Lindsay's position. Great, great. So actors who've prepared, come on screen. Robbie, I know we're getting close to when you have to leave us today, so if you can follow through with this, that's great, but we know what your position is. Okay, and Rowan, if you can get in here, that would be great. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to call out a position. We're going to practice the positions again, see how you're doing. And then at a certain point, I'm going to ask you to justify the position with either a word or phrase so that you are justifying the position that you're in. So let's start with Robbie's position. Let's start with Robbie's position. Everybody go to that position. Ariana, could you justify that position, please?
I'm so comfortable.
Lindsay, justify.
Is my computer camera on?
Francisco, justify.
This really sucks.
Great, let's take Joy's position. Andrew, justify.
hey, how you doing?
Robbie, justify.
Bet you're wondering why I brought you here.
Rowan, justify.
This is so boring.
Great. Could you all take Francisco's position, please? Ariana, justify.
I wonder if I'll be found.
Joy, justify.
Oh, hello there, little gnome.
Robbie, justify.
I miss my friends.
Great. Let's all take Andrew's position. Lindsay, justify.
Oh man, I'm sleepwalking again, aren't I?
Andrew, justify.
You know, I thought I'd be trapped on an island with different food.
Rowan, justify.
God, I'm so hungry.
Terrific, great. And can you all take Lindsay's position? Robbie, justify.
Just because you're invisible doesn't mean I can't take your lunch money.
Joy, justify.
Take a seat right here.
Lindsay, justify.
Ugh, hate this chair.
Great, that's terrific. Everybody can relax. And so what do you think the purpose of this exercise is? Why does Boal have us do this? What are some of the things that you've learned through doing this exercise?
When you physically take a position, it helps with getting into a certain mind space of what a character might be doing in that position.
Okay, so physically adopting it first. Okay, anything else? Mhm. Okay. So Boal wants us to work often from the physical and not to use words, to get out of our heads, right? To go straight to the physical, because we get a lot of information from people looking at how their faces work, how their bodies work, paying attention to the language that's happening there. And the other thing that I notice is that you're not all doing the same thing. May all be in the same position, but different ideas pop into your head about what is going on. So again, moving away from this idea that there's one way to do things or one way to see things, that we all see things very differently, depending on what the power dynamic is, who we are, what our background is. It all informs things for us very differently. So we start to appreciate that. Okay, great. So the next thing we're going to do is take this idea of image work, and we're going to use directed. I'm going to throw out an idea, and you're going to create a frozen picture of the idea, okay? And I'd appreciate it for those of you that are, I love that you've been putting words in the chat, and I haven't been very good about always calling them out. So here's a place where I'll try and be better with that. And Courtney, if you see some things that you want to shout out just with your microphone, that would be great too. So I'm going to call out an image and a concept, an idea. You're going to make a frozen picture of that idea and hold it for us. And then in the chat, people could respond with how they're feeling about it. What do they think about that image that they're seeing on the screen? Okay. And I think your microphones probably need to be off. Oh, excuse me, on, because I might take the image further. All right. So I could hear you speak. So go ahead and turn your cameras off for the moment. I'll give you a minute so you can think about it. You don't have to create it right in front of us. And when you come back on, actors, your cameras will be on and your microphones will be on. Great. So the first thing we're going to show a frozen picture of is children playing in the snow. A very timely idea, children playing in the snow. If you're watching this, if you're an attendee, you might want to try. What would your picture look like? What would your frozen snapshot of children playing in the snow? Come back on and share, actors, microphones on, cameras on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and they're here with their images. Great. Excellent. Nice, 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 nice. So what I'm going to do for the audience is call out an actor's name. And if you want, you can respond to that particular image. I think you see their names on the screen. We're going to start with Ariana. Ariana's image. Any thoughts about what that image communicates to you? Ariana, just hold for a moment. I know it's really hard. Great. And what is that character thinking, Ariana?
It's finally snowing.
Great, great. Now we're going to move to Joy's picture about Ariana's. Somebody said she looks like she enjoys snow falling on her face. Great. Joy's picture. What does Joy's picture communicate to you? And Joy, what's that thinking? Snowball fight.
Snowball fight.
Great. Joy, what is your character thinking?
I shall be victorious.
Great. And you can relax, Joy. Thank you, the rest of you, for holding your freezes. You're doing a great job. Let's move to Andrew. Any thoughts about Andrew's freeze?
Very intense snowball fight.
And Andrew, what's your character thinking?
You can't
Andrew?
escape me forever.
Okay, great. And you can relax, Andrew. Rowan's picture. Rowan's picture. What does Rowan's say to you? Look at the face on Rowan's. Anything that comes to mind for Rowan's? Rowan, what's your character thinking?
Eat snow, guys.
Ah, somebody said.
Serious snowball fight, threatening.
Yeah, right. Let's move to Francisco. You can't see all of Francisco, but you can see enough to see something a little different going on there. Any responses to Francisco? Great.
Cold. It's cold outside.
Nice, nice. And Francisco, what's your character thinking?
Mama said I can't go out naked in the snow.
And you can relax, Francisco. Lindsay's, hers is the last. Hers is the last. Do you have any responses to Lindsay's picture? Great. What's Lindsay thinking, the character?
Oh, I'm gonna get them for that.
Great,
Take
excellent. I'm sorry, could you say that again, Courtney?
We have in the chat, take aim.
That's good, that's great. Okay, we're gonna do one more of these. So you can turn your cameras off, keep your microphones on. And this one, as we were working and thinking about different places where we might see oppression or imbalance of power, we talked a lot about COVID. I guess that's indicative of what we're living right now. So that came up and we did a lot of work around COVID. So the next image that we talked about somewhat, the ideas behind it are the elderly during COVID. How are they, how is it affecting them and what are their lives like, especially if they don't live, well, if they live in a multi-generational household or if they don't, if they're in some kind of facility. So actors, could you please think about old folks during COVID and share your pictures in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and come back on. Great. This time I'm only going to highlight a few of them because I want to make sure we get to our next step. So could everybody in the audience just contemplate Lindsay's picture right now? Is there anything that this communicates to you? Any emotion that you think of as you look at that picture?
Lonely, lonely, desolation.
Great. And Lindsay, what's your character thinking?
I really miss my family.
Great, great. Let's look at Joy's picture. Anything that this one communicates to you that the audience would like to share?
Can you help me?
Great, great.
Farewell.
Oh, and Joy, what's your character thinking?
I miss my family.
Great. And last one we're going to look at is Rowan's. Take a look at Rowan's picture. Anything that one communicates? Okay. And Rowan, what's your character thinking?
I just want to see my grandkids.
Great. And you can relax, actors. Another note that came in is, when do I get to see my friends? When do I get to see my friends? So the next thing we're going to show you is taking these ideas of images and we're going to put them into what we call directed images and using a photograph to inspire, or a painting. And you can do this work with all sorts of things. So we picked a photograph to start with, and every actor is going to choose a character in this photograph to embody. And then we're going to see again what they might be thinking in this photograph. Let me make it a little bigger for you so you can see. Whoa, not too big. This way. Okay, great. So actors, take a look at the picture and choose your person. As soon as you know who you're going to do, you can sign out and create your freeze, create your person. And while they're doing that, I will tell you that as we look at pictures, we have to be really attentive to tilt of head, body dynamics. Where's the body holding? Where's the tension and relaxation in the body? Where's the eye focus? Eye focus tells us a tremendous amount about what might be going on with that person. So I am going to ask the actors to come back on in 5 and have your microphones on as well. 4, 3, 2, 1, and here they come. Great, great. So they've really tried to pay attention to those things that I was pointing out to the audience. And can you go ahead? We're going to go around quickly, and I just want to hear what your character's thinking. Joy.
Is this a baseball game?
Ariana.
Who'd let their kids run around like that?
Rowan.
Who's throwing popcorn back there?
Lindsay.
This old guy's kind of interesting.
Andrew.
Why can't he just take a hint?
And Francisco.
This is my first time here. I hope they clean the seats.
Okay, great, great. You can relax, actors. We're going to go quickly back because I have found that audiences usually want to know which character you are embodying. So let's start with Joy. What did your character say, and which one are you?
He said, "Is this a baseball game?" And he is the man in the beige coat with brown hair next to the older gentleman wearing brown in the 4th row from the top.
Do I have the
Yes.
right guy? Okay,
Yes.
great, thank you. Ariana, who are you embodying?
Same row as Joy's, but with the navy blue sweater holding the drink.
Okay, thank you. Francis, and what did yours say, Ariana?
Who would let their kids run around like that?
Great. Francisco, which character were you?
4th row, lady next to the yellow redhead.
4th row, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh dear, here?
No, on the opposite side.
Describe again, please.
4th row up, next to the lady in yellow. She's a redhead.
Oh, she's got a kind of bit of a line around her. Okay, great. This one here.
Yes.
The one that, what did she say?
This is my first time here. I hope they clean the seats.
Right. Andrew, where are you?
I am the woman in the bottom right,
Okay.
wearing the gray top.
And what did she say?
Why can't he just take a hint?
Great. Lindsay.
I'm in the person, the very back row wearing the black puffy jacket.
Up here.
Yeah.
Okay. She said?
This old guy is pretty interesting.
Rowan, who are you?
I'm the one in between Joy and Ariana with the little brown suit.
Here?
Yep.
And your words were?
Who's throwing popcorn back there?
Great. Terrific. Okay. Real quickly, everyone, what's the value again of working from pictures? You find, we kind of talked about this a little bit, but anything more you want to add?
I think yesterday Francisco mentioned something about lines, like when you're reading a script. So when you have a script, you read the lines and the stage directions and they tell you what to do. But when you're looking at and trying to do emotion, instead you're thinking of the lines that may come from that. So it's kind of like the opposite.
Great. Anything else anyone wants to add? Okay, I'm going to kind of push us forward a little bit because I want to make sure we leave just a little bit of time for any questions people might add. But the next step would be to take a picture and to allow it to come into dialogue, to have dialogue. So I am going to ask you to turn your cameras off. I'm going to share a new picture. And this one again revolves around COVID because that is something we found we kept coming back to as we worked. So this is the picture we're working with. Again, the actors are choosing which character they want to embody. They're looking at tilt of head, eye focus, where tension and release might be in the body, and putting themselves into this picture. So actors, you can come back on.
Can you share the screen?
Oh, shoot. Sorry, everyone. I apologize. Thanks for that reminder. I thought I was doing that. I have it all perfect, except you can't see it. Okay, let me go again. There we go. Actors, I'm going to ask you to get ready to come back on. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You need your microphones. Great. So each actor has picked one of these characters to embody. Great. And this time we're going to skip the step of what the character thinks, all right? And we're going to go straight to a dialogue. We're going to bring the scene alive for a second. So could I have Lindsay and Ariana go ahead and dialogue with one another? The rest of you can go out for a minute. So I believe, Ariana, you look like you're the person bringing things, and Lindsay is receiving them. So either one of you can start the dialogue.
Thank you for using Fred Meyer's clip list.
Thank you so much. Do I owe you anything? I can't remember if I paid or...
I believe you should have paid online already.
Okay. Oh, you need a tip, don't you? Oh, let me go get my wallet.
Okay.
Here it is. Oh, all right. Here you go.
Oh, thank you.
And stop.
Okay.
Great. Really nice. Really nice, you two. That's excellent. Could I get, I'm trying to think who else is out there. I should look. Can I get Francisco and Andrew? Can you come on? Great. And I think again, Francisco is the deliverer and Andrew is the receiver. You can go ahead and start when you're ready.
Hello, ma'am. Here are your groceries.
Oh, thank you. You're so kind. Oh, these are a bit heavy. Can you help me take them inside? I'm afraid I can't do it on my own.
Actually, I don't think I'm allowed to do that.
I have arthritis. What am I supposed to do? I can't carry all these eggs to my fridge.
You're putting me in a really difficult position. I'm not allowed to come into people's homes.
Please, I can sanitize. I have cookies in the bag. I made them for Valentine's Day for couples around here, but they wouldn't take them because of circumstances. Please, I need help.
Did you mention cookies?
Great, yeah. And let's stop.
Betsy, I think you muted yourself.
I'm so sorry. I was doing so well. Does anyone have anything they wanted to go in and change or add to that last scene? Anything? Andrew's character was putting Francisco's in a difficult situation. Does anyone want to go in and help out? Okay, Joy, whose position do you want to take?
Francisco's.
Francisco's. And do you want to pick up like right where we left off, or is there a different place you want to go?
The beginning.
Okay, great. When I'm out of here, you can start.
Here you are, miss.
Oh, thank you. You're so kind. Oh, these bags are so heavy. Can you help me put them inside?
Yes, absolutely. One moment. Let me just go get my Roomba with a robot arm. I also have a slingshot it can use to...
What's a Roomba?
Oh, it's just, it's Oh, here it is. It's this little robot. It's got a robot arm.
Is that a frisbee?
It hooks onto the groceries, and I have this
It's a
slingshot
circle.
that it can use to get
I
the
don't know what
groceries
you're talking
directly
about.
into your kitchen.
Can you help me take them inside? What
Yes,
the
it's doing it right now. It's doing it right now. And actually, I have escaped. Oh no, that's company property. Why?
Okay, great. And you can stop. And everybody come back on.
The Southern accent disappeared after a while there.
I am sure that our audience members had some things they might have been able to add. We tend to get, we want magic. And Boel actually didn't discount the idea of, I know, Joy, it's not magic, it's just technology, right?
Remote controlled, remote controlled.
But hopefully this process that we've taken you through would let you see how you could create scenes that have some, what do I want to say, some problems in them that could be presented to an audience, and an audience then could stop the action and come into the scene and offer a different solution. So that's the whole basic idea, taking image theater into forum theater. So I just want to stop. Courtney, if you want to join back in, and if anyone has any questions for us, tried to leave
We had a couple comments. Great improv and great job, Betsy and students. So interesting, fun, and engaging. Thank you for your wonderful presentation.
Well, thank you. That's very nice. Any questions from anyone?
I was really fascinated with the concept of empathy, and as you're embodying, a character or a person in an image, especially how that makes the actors feel about being able to understand people better. Does anybody want to respond to that?
I would definitely agree, and obviously we're taking these fairly complex methods and using them in very, very basic, simplistic, ways, so you can really see how it could be applied to like anything, really. Because but I definitely think that doing this, especially if you were working more with like darker themes, it's absolutely a good way to promote empathy and getting into different headspaces and thinking about things through different people's shoes, I would say. Living in other people's shoes temporarily, just for a snippet.
Great, thanks, Joy.
Kind of going on empathy, in Andrew's play Blue Collar, there's a character that I play is she's very difficult. She seems like someone who, if you see how she acts in normal daily life, you wouldn't want to give her empathy because you just think she's so off the wall, so crazy. So just a very hard person to want to talk to and be around. But I've been trying to build empathy and figure out why she's acting like that, and being able to bring her to life with trying to figure out what's causing her actions and her words to come out like how she's having them be produced.
I'm sorry, does anyone else have something to say? I was going to piggyback on that, but I don't want to shut anyone else down. Something, Courtney, that Boel, some of his work that isn't given as much attention is that he was really influenced by Stanislavski, who taught acting. The basics of all of our acting is based on Stanislavski. And Boel said that the best way to learn about human behavior and why people do what they do is to watch an actor work, or to become an actor to do it, because you literally have to walk in those shoes and take that on. So that's also was very influential in his technique. So thanks for asking that question.
Well, thank you all. And I definitely believe in that. The concept of the arts is something that, enforces our humanity and allows us to explore ideas that might not be present in our own lives, or how they are present in our own lives. So I want to thank everybody for coming today. We have hit 12:59. So we get an amen from the audience, always nice. And thank you, Betsy, and thank you to the Drama Club for sharing your knowledge and your skills and your empathy with us all. Take care, everybody.
Bye. Bye, everyone. See you on Friday in rehearsal.